Hello, welcome to Headline Special. More than a month after the tragic crash of an Azerbaijani Airlines Embraer 190 near Aktau, Kazakhstan, the Azerbaijani side is believed to be building a legal case to be taken to an international court. This came after Moscow refused to change its attitude regarding the circumstances involving the incident subsequent to the release of a preliminary report on the investigation by Kazakhstan's Ministry of Transport. On the 25th of December 2024, an Azerbaijani Airlines passenger plane tragically crashed en route from Baku to Grozny, near the city of Aktau in Kazakhstan, after rerouting across the Caspian Sea from southern Russia, killing 38 of 67 people on board. After the crash, Russian President Vladimir Putin apologized to his Azerbaijani counterpart Ilham Aliyev for the tragic accident in Russian airspace without admitting the guilt for what had happened. President Aliyev accused Russia of trying to hush up the issue for several days, expressing his surprise at and condemnation of the versions put forward by Russian officials. The Azerbaijani position is that Russian side, firstly, must apologize to Azerbaijan. Secondly, it must admit its guilt. Thirdly, punish the guilty, bring them to criminal responsibility, and pay compensation to the Azerbaijani state, the injured passengers and crew members. Although the carefully worded preliminary report issued on the 4th of February under global aviation rules does not explicitly specify what exactly had caused extensive damage to the plane, it still contains some points that appear to be consistent with the claim that the plane was externally interfered with, both physically by means of ground fire and GPS jamming in Russian airspace. The introductory report includes photographs displaying the port side of the fuselage tail section pierced with numerous holes, as well as photos of fragments that the report described as foreign metal objects removed from the left stabilizer and hydraulic system. It also says that electronic warfare in Grozny disrupted the navigation system of the AZAL plane before crash near Aktau. Joining me now is Andrei Huk, aviation lawyer with extensive experience and knowledge in relation to this particular field. He's joining us from Kiev, Ukraine. Mr. Huk, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Good evening.
Thank you. First of all, you are familiar with this preliminary report issued on the 4th of February. Of course, a lot is yet to be clarified, but what is your conclusion on the basis of this report?
So it's typical preliminary report according to ICAO rules of Chicago Convention, and those preliminary reports usually names just the orientation, what will be the final findings of the final report that will be issued within a year after such air crash. And the preliminary report says precisely that aircraft was airworthy. So technically, this aircraft was okay. It says that the possible reason of this crash is foreign objects that are not belonging to the structure of the aircraft, and no bird strike was indicated or no internal wreckage was indicated. So we can say that one of the reasons of aircraft damaged was external influence of external objects, together with GPS issues, because signal was lost in airspace of Russian Federation. So what we can expect in final report within a year, in comparison to MH17 aircraft crash in Ukraine, in final report, the particular warhead was named of the missile. So we can expect that it also will be established in the case of AZAL aircraft. And after that, of course, we will have no doubts what happened.
Indeed, yeah. As you said, it's a preliminary report. It is not aiming to pin blame on anybody, but it gives some indication what the final report will look like. As you said earlier, this damages in the fuselage were, the report says, are caused by foreign objects. So this external interference theory seems to have been supported here, and also what was proposed by Russians, I think Russian side, immediately after the incident, the bird strike theory does not seem to be justified according to this report, and it's also very clear that foreign objects do not belong to the aircraft structure, and they were discovered in the wreckage of the airplane. So what is also very interesting about that particular report is about the Kovyo protocol, it seems to indicate that it was sort of put into practice after the incident. What does this moment signal, you think?
So again, one of the reasons why those preliminary reports and final reports are saying this is because they have to consider all options, all possible scenarios of what happened and exclude them in order to say what was the real cause of the incident. So that's why bird strike is directly already excluded, and internal exposure also already excluded. So those are the main possible reasons that could have been there. What is connected with Plan Carpet, Kovyor, is Russia actually is in a state of war with Ukraine. And of course, some drones are entering Russian airspace. And as a reaction to this threat, Russia imposes Plan Kovyor. That means that airports are usually closed. And some actions are happening in order to fight with those drones. But as we see, those measures are not enough in order to safeguard the civil aviation in Russian airspace. And actually, Ukraine said it not one time that Russia does nothing to secure civil aircraft from damaging. And actually, what MH17 case and Iranian PS 752 case, that measures that states are imposing as a response to any crisis with war actions are not enough. And now we see again that measures that Russia is taking is not enough. And Plan Kovyor is also maybe useful for Russia to fight drones, but it's not useful for aircraft that enter in Russian airspace.
So, as you said earlier,
the responsibility of Russian Federation.
And also, as you said earlier, the point about an explosion of oxygen cylinders has also been excluded from the realm of probability, and this was one of the Russian arguments put forward immediately after the crash. So, about the legal case of Azerbaijan, we understand that Azerbaijani position has been along the lines of Azerbaijan expecting some reciprocity, some receptiveness from Russia. Those 4 demands, I reflected upon them, I referred to them in my introduction. But it is also possible that Azerbaijan will be instituting proceedings before the International Court of Justice, as I understand. When the media reports say that Azerbaijan is building legal case to be taken to an international court, do we understand International Court of Justice at this particular moment? I mean,
you see, we have similarities with the MH17 case and PS 752 case, and even such state as Islamic Republic of Iran acknowledged that there was some human errors, but still they are responsible for taking down this aircraft, and they even proposed to the relatives of the victims like $150,000 of compensations. Of course, without acknowledging the guilt, but still they are proposing those payments. In contrary, Russia always refuses to acknowledge any responsibility for such damages. And we will see that Russia will not step out from this way of trying to create a lot of scenarios and options what happen except of their fault. And what is international courts? In MH17 case, we have a Hague proceeding criminal case when 4 individuals were accused. We have Ukrainian proceedings against Russia International Court of Justice, and in Iranian scenario, we have a proceeding filed by Ukraine, Canada, and United Kingdom and Sweden against against the Republic of Iran, and it was done in 2023. So it took 3.5 years to create a case before the International Court of Justice, and actually it's based on Montreal Convention for the suppression of unlawful acts against safety of civil aviation, and actually it aims against Iran to acknowledge the responsibility for this incident, to apologize, and to provide compensations for the states and for the relevant for the relatives of victims. I see that Azerbaijan is trying to follow this way. So, of course, final reports should be issued. Of course, some criminal investigations should be done in Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan. And of course, one of the reasons of proceedings against Russia Federation regarding Montreal Convention is not conducting a proper investigation in Russia. So if Russia fails to investigate and to establish what happened from their side, it will be one of the claims against Russia to the International Court of Justice. What else is happening in the MH17 case? Relatives of victims filed a case against Russia to the European Court of Human Rights, but for Azerbaijani citizens it's not possible already because Russia stepped out from European Convention of Human Rights, and now new cases cannot be filed against Russia to this court. So we can say that probably we are talking about International Court of Justice case, but it can happen after final report and like 2 more years, because some negotiations should be done, some procedures should be followed, and we can see that if Russia still will not apologize and will not pay compensation, I think Azerbaijan and probably Kazakhstan should consider go to this court.
And in terms of going to court, on the basis of what we have seen, on the basis of preliminary report, of course we are waiting for final report, which will not be issued very soon. It will take some time, as we understand. Was there likelihood of a success at the International Court of Justice, bearing in mind all of those difficulties associated with legal proceedings and so forth?
Again, we have only one case that is now pending, is Ukrainian case against Iran. And actually we had a case like back in the 60s, Iran against USA, because it was an incident when USA accidentally fired against civil aircraft from Iran. But those cases, that case finished with like mutual agreement between Iran and USA. So there is no precedent in International Court of Justice regarding aircraft damage. That's why we can see only Ukrainian case, how it will proceed.
And that's not finalized yet.
But it can take years again.
Bearing in mind that we do not have precedents, it's very difficult to predict what will happen. That's what you said, as I understand.
Because even Libya, when it was Lockerbie case, finally, after criminal investigation and court, they paid compensation like around $10 million to all relatives. So even Muammar Gaddafi was able to do it after hard pressure of sanctions. But for Russia, you should understand that even if to file some claim to ICAO, Ukraine already did it, and Ukraine already reached like unprecedented result. Russia lost their chair in Council of ICAO already. So it's even no purpose to file a claim against Russia, because they already under sanctions of their airspace. They already lost a chair in Council of ICAO. So it's nothing can be done with them, and a lot of sanctions, so they cannot fly anywhere. Boeing and Airbus is not working in Russia, so there are already a lot of consequences for them from Ukraine, initiated by Ukraine. So for Azerbaijan now, actually option of International Court of Justice, what remains. And that's it.
That's the International Court of Justice is only legal course of action, as you said. Well, thank you very much indeed for your time and for your analysis and answers to our questions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This was Andrei Huk, aviation lawyer, man of great knowledge about this particular subject, who joined us from Kiev, Ukraine. See you very soon.